Today's topic is: what's the most horrifying thing that exists where you live? Sewer rats the size of cats just casually chilling at night. Wild hogs. They chased my neighbor up a tree and waited for 2 hours in hopes he'd come down. I live out in the country, on a quiet dirt road surrounded by woods. My nearest neighbor is a 5-minute drive away, so I've always thought of this place as isolated and peaceful. But recently, I've had a couple of unsettling experiences. Twice now, I've caught 2 different people emerging from the woods and looking into my house. It makes me wonder how many times this has happened without me knowing. My dog often goes into a barking frenzy at what I assume is nothing, but now I'm not so sure. I'm starting to realize I might not be as alone out here as I thought. Tornadoes. Quite a few years ago, a town was nearly erased from existence, not terribly far from me. Seeing the absolute destruction firsthand is insane. I live in suburbia placed nicely in a heavily forested area. Every now and then, I go out into the woods at 1 to 2 a.m. and blow my Aztec death whistle. Every summer, the mosquitoes here unionize, develop a taste for human ankles, and somehow bypass bug spray like it's a polite suggestion. I'm in Africa. There are remote parts here that literally have nothing but radioactive waste from Europe. In order for European companies to comply with EU regulations, they just dump their waste here. There was a court case that the locals tried to stop it, but everyone was bribed and it all just keeps happening. We also have limited train systems. The steel railways are stolen, put on a ship and sold to companies in Asia. The government then buys the steel back from the Asian companies. Lots of corruption and bribery. Water bugs. It's not much, but it's a big-ass fucking bug I saw in my room last night. Giant squid. They wash up on shore every now and then and are a reminder of what I'm potentially kayaking atop of. Brain-eating amoeba that lives in warm water lakes, rivers, and hot springs. Rare but horrifying because you can't see it coming. Stonefish. They lurk in shallow waters in and around the beaches of northern Australia. Absolutely prehistoric nightmare fuel. 100 degrees, high humidity, summer just started. Feels like the earth is cooking. Historically it is supposed to be 80 to 90 degrees. The 90s were considered a heat wave. In Belgium, speed pedelecs, the fast ones where the rider is 40 to 50 m, overweight, black helmet, gloves, little plastic before their eyes, driving 50 km per hour, on bicycle lanes integrated with sidewalks. They enjoy when you have to jump for them. A propane go down which had 3 prior, mild, explosions already. If someday I stop being chronically online on Reddit, you know the reason. I nearly tripped over a black widow web in my garage the other day. Saw her subsequently wasn't a small one either. Maybe I'm lucky that this is the most horrifying thing near me. They, probably, won't kill an adult, but I don't even like spiders that I know are harmless. Someone fell off a waterfall about 20 minutes from my house. And it took them a week to get what remained of his body out because he was wedged deep in rocks underneath. How much edible food ends up in the trash compared to the number of people who are hungry? How many people kill themselves over oppressive identity politics? How unsafe women feel navigating the world unchaperoned by a man or a gun? A lovely beach that is full of radiation. They did not close it. I live in a rather rundown neighborhood. It was the only place I could afford to buy. I'm pretty sure most of my neighbors are drug dealers. Whatever, it's their lives and they leave me alone. But it horrifies me the number of kids that I see wandering around. They are growing up surrounded by this shit and I despair for them. The cops are around quite often, so the authorities obviously know what is going on. I don't know what the solution is. Mucade. Venomous centipedes that hide in shoes, bags, and lockers and deliver one of the most painful bites known to man. They won't kill you unless you've already got some serious health issues, but it's quite a sight to see a room of my Japanese coworkers scatter when one is sighted, and some poor, brave bastard has to be the one to kill it. I shake out my shoes before putting them on, or wear open-toe sandals instead. I live 2 hours from Mount St. Helens. It freaks me out that it could erupt. No, the lava would most likely not reach this far, but the smoke and fires that could spread would be devastating. I live in a neighborhood, but basically behind my house 2 minutes out there is this river in a thick forest. We call it Rapid, original name I know. Anyways, me and my buddies have made it a tradition the past couple of years to go hang out at Rapid once in a while to skip rocks or go fishing, and have some quality time with the brothers. One of our buddies had gone alone to Rapid about 3 months ago and came back terrified. He told us he saw these people in the woods wearing strange clothing. Apparently they didn't notice him, and he was far enough away. Naturally, me and the boys didn't believe him. He was so adamant about the story even weeks later. Eventually we finally cracked. So a few weeks later the 5 of us including him went out late at night around 1 a.m. to go to Rapid. It's pretty easy to get there because it is a natural path we've created after so many years of going. We get there. We are at the riverside where we usually hang. And I'm not even joking. On the other side of the river there is a man-made campfire with about 6 people surrounding it, standing. Our buddy was right, they wore weird clothing, almost like deer skin. Craziest part about that whole thing is they had a severed deer head with antlers on a spike. Let me tell you, we hightailed it so fast out of there. We called the police that same night to hopefully investigate the situation. They did, and went into the woods with us. They found nothing. The people were gone. A month and a half ago, our local town police arrested 12 individuals. Apparently it was a small cult that has been killing most of the bucks in the area, and allegedly were living in the woods. We haven't been back to Rapid since. Massive thunderstorms and hurricanes. We know they come every year, but whether the weather happens fast or slow, it's intense. And it leaves stories. Sharks in the water. Definitely the sharks. I don't know, possibly loneliness. The insects and animals can be handled including humans, but the loneliness definitely affects everyone. Ticks, moose, meese if you're nasty, bears and wolves. I think we have some wild cats up north, but they're quite skittish. Alternatively, you could also say alcohol. A bunch of people drown annually when they go swimming drunk during midsummer. Or walking on ice during winter. A fox which escaped from some forest entered into my native village, and it was an evening breeze time. I was chilling in the veranda until I saw some light-like thing sparkling, and I thought it was some lights hanging far away. Then after some time it moved a bit, so I got curious and turned on my flash, and I was shocked to see a fox which is like death staring at me for the past 30 minutes. Where I'm at currently, we're constantly out in the field/woods, and when I woke up one morning I was completely covered from chest down in bumps and bites. It was from a local native caterpillar that gives people bad rashes. I had to get steroids and cream to help treat it, and it itched so bad every night. Took 2.5 weeks to heal up. I live really close to a train station and trains go in and out of there all day every day, even at night. It could be 3 a.m. and all you'll hear is a blood-curdling scream-like noise and then a loud-ass bang that I can only describe as a gunshot, but in reality it's just two cars linking together. Also, another thing that makes this scarier is that I live somewhere where there's been thousands upon thousands of sightings of skinwalkers and shit like that over the past couple hundred years, so those screams could actually be screams. Multiple bodies of water at public parks contain alligators and other dangerous reptiles. Not that horrifying because he's pretty chill, but there's a coyote that lives on my block. Everyone knows to pick up their dogs if they see him, and sometimes we take walks with a big stick in case we need to frighten him off. Volcanoes everywhere. Like 90% of the country's population is at risk of eviction at the blink of an eye. Unlikely, but a few years ago a town of about 4,000 people had to be completely evacuated cause of a nearby volcano that erupted, with lava destroying homes. A series of earthquakes before the eruption also destroyed homes and infrastructure in town. The volcano has erupted like 10 more times since. I can see it from my balcony. I'm only like 6 to 7 miles away. Two other big volcanoes are long overdue eruptions, and there has been seismic activity there recently, as well as magma chambers filling up beneath the capital. There's not too much worry about the capital, but it definitely has made us rethink the development in the southwest part of Iceland. But if you live somewhere where that's not a worry, then avalanches and landslides are. I work at an alfalfa farm up in Arizona with an inmate crew out in the middle of nowhere, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. We see rattlesnakes and javelinas every night and random mountain lion sightings. If any of us were to be bitten or attacked, medical response would more than likely be too late for any of us to survive. Rattlesnakes. Lot of them around here. Beautiful animals and I love to see them, but it's still scary as hell to be walking through the brush and start hearing that rattle. I remember stopping and staying still when I heard one once and nearly shit myself as it slithered over my boot after it calmed down a bit. Like I said, it was beautiful to see but also made the front of my jeans very damp. Valley fever. It's million-year-old fungal spores that live in the dirt. If you inhale the dust, the spores activate in your lungs and you get chronic fungal infections for life. Where I live we have bunnies. Right now there are lots of baby bunnies. We also have small mountain lions and wolves. I do not live in the backwoods or in the middle of nowhere. 2 times in the past 2 weeks I've walked my dog and seen bunny remnants, feet and fur, but the rest of the bunny was missing. Also right near the remnants were very sizable animal poops. I am hoping that maybe it was just the small mountain cats or the little wolves, but with a boom that size I worry that it might be something larger, much larger. So I ordered animal repellent spray and a sizable stick. We also have hawks, but I don't think there's any way a hawk could poop that much. I could be wrong, but good God, I hope we don't have monsters. Moose, just moose. People who've never seen a moose almost never know how big and scary they are. In the state I live in we actually have to do a moose safety course in driver's ed, most of which is, if you hit one you will not survive. My brother got charged by one on a Boy Scout trip one time. Terrifying. Cougars or maybe grizzly bears, but at least the bears you hear them coming. Other than that it's the expanses of wilderness you can get lost in by going a couple feet off trail. The overwhelming amount of random attacks on people by mentally ill people. They don't get much jail time or mental help and are back on the street sometimes right away. There's a string of volcanoes in the PNW that are technically active and could erupt essentially whenever, albeit there would be a prolonged buildup and warning before that happened. If rain erupts it is a huge problem. In a neighboring town is a very large lake with a mountain overlooking it. That mountain has a crack in a vital spot. It's been theorized that part of the mountain could shear off, fall into the lake, and create a mega tsunami, which would undoubtedly wipe out the town. The mountain is called Ridge. Tarantula hawk wasps. I know they won't bother you if you don't bother them, but being at the absolute mercy of a flying insect with a record-holding sting just doesn't sit right with me. Wildfires. It's really hot and dry here in the summer. In August we very often have horrible air full of smoke from them. Sometimes they get really close to the edge of cities and houses burn. They can burn entire towns down. A bridge over about 20 railway tracks. The railing is so brittle and rusted, that a few parts are already missing. City knows and doesn't care about it, because almost nobody uses it. Everyone instead walks through the train station or the tunnel next to it. People even call it Toadsbrook, which means Death Bridge. The condition isn't the only reason for its name, by the way. I live in Germany. We have an observation tower near me that's about 70 meters high. This tower has an observation deck, which is only secured by a waist-high railing. In the last 20 years, 68 people have jumped down there, and the last ones were 3 13-year-old teenage girls. The scary thing is, the government is doing nothing to secure this tower. I live right on top of a hospital, and every week or so I'd hear people shouting and crying while yelling, "WHYY," at 4 a.m. or so. This had happened so many times that I don't even remember when it was the first time it happened. Not a personal one, but I'm reminded of a friend who lived by a graveyard, and one night an icy handprint appeared on his back window, overlooking said yard. Not so terrible as most things I've read here, but I live 25 kilometers from an old and not so very stable nuclear power plant. It's been quiet for a few years now, but before that they often found cracks in the buildings, and my local government has given me jodium pills 3 times now. Hurricanes, but on a more common occurrence, are strong currents in the channels by a popular swimming area. Also, lightning is a real hazard this time of year. Gators are another hazard if near a stagnant body of fresh water. For a time we had a stag who was hunting hunters. He would find tents, shelters, and even perches and go out of his way to destroy them. The crazy thing is, he's like a ghost. Tracks become lost every time. He always charges in your blind spot, and it's been recorded he's been shot and killed over a dozen times, yet we see him walking around, ever more scarred and fiercer with each encounter. He technically should be naturally ancient in deer years. Mountain lions. There's a little off-road hiking/target shooting spot called Wildcat Mountain near my town. I went up there to see the sunset and got so spooked out of nowhere. I had absolutely zero reason to, but I ran back to my car and got the fuck out of there. Realized on the drive back down that I was probably being stalked by a mountain lion. Fun times. An abandoned house that sits there empty for decades. One day me and my friends went to Urbexit, and besides a few homeless people we found room full of old, broken dolls. They all were missing a few limbs or an eye. Some even had blood on them. There also was some blood on the walls. We never came back. The Strid. A very narrow section of a river in Yorkshire. It's deceptively dangerous. It almost looks like you could step across it, but both banks are covered in slick, mossy rocks, and if you fall into the water you will be instantly sucked under by the currents, washed into any one of dozens of underwater tunnels or caves, and you will never be seen again. Horrifying as an event? Well, someone died alone for quite some time in their house. It happened twice last year. Their remains are, well, let's just say that the smells attracted the neighbors. Horrifying as a thing. Big-ass stray python with bulged belly chilling in my neighbor's attic. It just ate the neighbor's cat apparently. Snakes. Like lots. They like the warmth of empty shoes and trying to get into my house. They recon snakes are more scared of us than we are of them. Honestly can't believe that. Not sure how horrifying it is, but when we moved to the town we live in and have been for over 35 years, one landmark was a beached ship that was abandoned. In my youth, it would be part of the background whenever we went to the beach or just passed by it. With years, of course, salt water and rust had begun to break it down little by little, and the beach itself changed with the walk besides it being removed when it couldn't be maintained. Well, I recently drove by the beach and the shit is no longer there, and that felt off. For as far as I remember, that basically was part of the identity of the town, and it just feels wrong now, maybe because it makes me dreadfully aware of the passage of time in some way.